Jacob's farm was a place of quiet, honest work. He'd wake up before the sun, tend to his animals, check his crops, and enjoy a well-earned cup of coffee on his porch as the morning mist rolled off the fields. It was the kind of life he'd always wanted, peaceful, predictable, and far removed from the nonsense of city living. At least it was asterisk peaceful, until Karen moved in next door. Karen, with her freshly manicured lawn and her obsession with community standards, had made it her mission to disrupt everything about Jacob's way of life. She'd already tried to get rid of his rooster for being too noisy, tried forcing her beehives onto his property, and even attempted to report his barn as an unsightly structure. But her latest stunt, this one was her worst yet. Jacob had first noticed the problem when he stepped outside one morning and nearly tripped over a pile of trash bags stacked at the edge of his driveway. At first, he thought maybe an animal had dragged them over, but when he got closer, the truth became clear. The bags weren't torn or scattered. Someone had deliberately dumped them there. Frowning, Jacob poked at one of the bags with his boot. Soda cans, takeout containers, some fancy-looking receipts, nothing that belonged to him. He knelt down and pulled one of the crumpled receipts from the pile. His eyes narrowed as he read the name printed neatly at the top. Karen Wilcox. Jacob exhaled slowly, standing up and rolling his shoulders. Of course it was Karen. Who else would have the audacity? As if summoned by his thoughts, Karen appeared in her yard, watering her perfectly trimmed hedges with the kind of exaggerated elegance only she could manage. She glanced over, and upon seeing Jacob standing near the trash, gave him a sickeningly sweet smile. "Oh, good morning, Jacob," she called out. "I see you found my little contribution." Jacob folded his arms. "You mean your trash?" Karen laughed lightly as if he'd just made a silly mistake. "It's not trash, Jacob, it's compostable waste. You do have a farm, don't you? I figured you could use it for, fertilizer." Jacob stared at her, unblinking. "You dumped your garbage on my land." Karen sighed dramatically. Don't be so uncivilized, Jacob. It's all biodegradable. You should be thanking me for being so environmentally conscious." Jacob's grip tightened at his sides. He wasn't a man who got angry easily, but Karen had officially crossed a line. Still, he didn't yell, didn't argue, didn't threaten. Instead, he gave her a slow, knowing smile. "Well, Karen," he said, his voice calm, "if you're so concerned about the environment, then I think it's only fair I return the favor." Karen blinked, suspicious. "What do you mean by that?" Jacob tipped his hat. "Oh, you'll see." And with that, he turned on his heel and walked toward his barn, already forming a plan. If Karen wanted to play dirty, she was about to learn just how messy things could get. Jacob spent the rest of the morning gathering supplies, his mind already working through the perfect way to return Karen's gift. He wasn't just going to dump the trash back onto her pristine lawn, no, that would be too easy, too predictable. Karen needed to feel the consequences of her actions in a way she wouldn't soon forget. And that's when he remembered the skunk. Old Louis, as Jacob called him, was a cranky little critter that had been hanging around the outskirts of his property for weeks. Unlike most wild skunks, Louis wasn't particularly shy, probably because Jacob had made the mistake of tossing him a few scraps one evening. Ever since then, the striped little rascal had considered the farm his personal buffet. Jacob had planned to eventually trap and relocate him, but now Louis had a new purpose. Grinning to himself, Jacob set up a simple cage trap near the barn, baited with a bit of leftover bacon. Sure enough, within an hour, Louis waddled right in, lured by the irresistible smell of an easy meal. The trapdoor swung shut with a click, and just like that, Jacob had the final ingredient for his revenge. Now came the fun part. With thick gloves and careful movements, Jacob carried the cage over to his truck, setting it down gently before turning his attention to the trash Karen had so generously provided. One by one, he loaded the bags into the truck bed, making sure to stack them high around Louis's temporary prison. By the time the sun began to set, Jacob was ready. That evening, under the cover of darkness, He drove down the road and backed his truck right up to Corinne's driveway. She had no idea what was coming. With practiced efficiency, Jacob worked quickly. He arranged the trash bags into a neat pile right on her front porch, making sure to stack them just asterisk high enough to block her front door. Then, with the utmost care, he placed Louie's cage right in the middle of the pile. And for the final touch, Jacob unlatched the trap. Louie hesitated for only a second before scurrying out, right into the heart of Corinne's pristine, flower-covered porch. Jacob grinned as he climbed back into his truck. He didn't need to stick around for the grand reveal. He knew exactly what would happen next. The moment Corinne stepped outside to scream at whoever dared return her garbage, she'd be met with a very smelly surprise. Jacob didn't have to wait long for the fireworks. The next morning, just as the sun peeked over the horizon, a shrill, ear-splitting scream shattered the peaceful silence of the countryside. Jacob, sipping his coffee on the porch, smirked and leaned back in his chair. Right on schedule. Across the way, Corinne's front door burst open, and out she stumbled, her silk robe flapping wildly, her blonde hair in disarray, and her arms flailing like a deranged scarecrow. But what had Jacob really laughing was the way she moved, jerky, panicked, and desperately swatting at something unseen. Because old Louie had done exactly what Jacob expected. Corinne had likely stepped out, ready to screech about the garbage pile on her porch, only to come face to face with the skunk that had spent the night nestled comfortably among her discarded takeout containers. And of course, Louie had responded the only way a skunk knows how. With a full force. "It's in MY house! It's in MY house!" Corinne shrieked, stumbling across her perfectly manicured lawn, arms flailing. Jacob nearly choked on his coffee. Oh, this was better than he imagined. Louis, in his panic, must have darted inside when Corinne threw the door open. Now she was flapping her arms uselessly, as if she could physically fan the stench away. But it was too late. Jacob knew skunk spray wasn't something you could just air out. That smell would be clinging to her carpets, her furniture, her precious white curtains for weeks. Corinne whipped around, spotting Jacob watching from his porch. Her eyes were wild, her face contorted with rage. "You," she screeched, pointing an accusing finger at him. "What did you do?" Jacob took a slow sip of coffee. "I believe the word you're looking for is return." Corinne's jaw dropped. "You put a skunk on MY porch?" Jacob shrugged. "Now, Corinne, I did put him there. I just made it easier for nature to take its course." She let out a strangled sound somewhere between a growl and a sob. "My house smells like a rotting onion." Jacob chuckled. "Yep, that'll happen." Corinne stomped her foot, then gagged as another whiff of skunk hit her. "This is illegal. I'm calling the police." Jacob leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Oh, please do. I'd love to hear you explain to the sheriff why you illegally dumped your trash on my land first." Corinne froze, her face twisting as her brain tried, and failed to come up with a defense. Jacob grinned. "Now if you'll excuse me, I've got a farm to run." He stood up, stretched, and tipped his hat. "Oh, and Corinne." She glared at him. "You might wanna call a specialist. Skunk spray's real stubborn, soaks into everything." He gave her a slow, knowing smirk. "Including hair." Corinne's eyes went wide. She grabbed a handful of her blonde bob, sniffed, and instantly dry-heaved. Jacob chuckled as he strolled back inside. Lesson definitely learned. Corinne's wails echoed across the countryside as she sprinted back into her house, only to be violently reminded that her home now smelled like a skunk had declared war on it. A second later, she came flying back out, gagging and coughing, slamming the door behind her as if that would somehow trap the stench inside. Jacob, standing by his barn, had to bite the inside of his cheek to keep from laughing. He'd seen a lot of things in his time as a farmer, but watching Corinne flail around in an absolute state of panic while her designer robe flapped behind her like a superhero cape, That was pure gold. Her next move was exactly what Jacob expected. She fumbled in her pocket, pulled out her phone, and started furiously dialing. Probably the sheriff. Maybe animal control. Either way, Jacob wasn't worried. He had played this one asterisk perfectly. Sure enough, not 10 minutes later, a familiar pickup truck rolled up the gravel road. Sheriff Tom Callahan stepped out, hands on his belt, looking entirely too amused for a man called out this early in the morning. Karen practically lunged at him. "Arrest HIM," she screeched, pointing wildly at Jacob, who was still standing by the barn, completely at ease. Tom blinked. "Arrest him for what?" Karen stomped her foot. "He put a skunk in my house." Tom turned his head slowly toward Jacob, raising an eyebrow. "You did what now?" Jacob crossed his arms. "I returned her trash." Karen shrieked, "With a asterisk skunk." Tom sighed and rubbed his forehead. "All right, someone explain asterisk slowly." Jacob leaned against the barn, cool as ever. "Woke up yesterday morning to find her asterisk garbage dumped on my asterisk land. Didn't like that much, so I simply returned it right back to her porch. Now the skunk," he shrugged. "That was just bad luck. Poor guy must have been in the pile when she opened her door. Ain't that right, Karen?" Karen's face twitched. "That's not what happened." Tom exhaled heavily. "So let me get this straight. You," he pointed at Karen, "dumped your asterisk trash on his asterisk farm." Karen faltered. I was just being environmentally conscious." Tom blinked slowly. "By throwing garbage on someone else's property." Karen's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "It was compostable." Tom shook his head. "Lady, a half-eaten Big Mac ain't compost." Jacob fought the urge to laugh, as Karen's face turned a marvelous shade of red. Tom turned back to Jacob. "And you're telling me you just returned the trash to where it came from?" Jacob nodded. "Didn't take nothing that wasn't mine." Tom sighed. "Well, legally speaking, can't fault a man for putting someone else's property back where it belongs." Karen gasped in pure outrage. "Are you kidding me?" Tom gave her a asterisk look. "Now, if you want to file a complaint about the skunk, go right ahead. But I gotta warn you, ain't much the law can do about asterisk nature." Jacob smirked. "That's what I told her." Karen let out a sound somewhere between a growl and a sob, then stomped away toward her car, muttering something about hearing a lawyer. Tom watched her go before shaking his head. "You sure know how to stir the pot, Jacob." Jacob grinned. "Oh, I just let nature take its course." Tom chuckled. "You owe me a beer for this one." Jacob tipped his hat. "Done." As Tom drove off, Jacob leaned against the fence, watching as Karen, still gagging, peeled out of her driveway, most likely on her way to find emergency deskunking services. And just like that, peace was restored. For now. Karen didn't show her face for the rest of the day, and Jacob figured she was either holed up in her skunk-infested house or off somewhere desperately scrubbing herself down with every remedy the internet had to offer. Either way, it wasn't his problem. He spent the afternoon tending to his crops, feeding his animals, and enjoying the fresh, non-skunky air. But just when he thought the drama was over, Karen struck again. It was nearing sunset when Jacob heard a thunk outside his barn. He turned just in time to see something dark flying through the air, landing in his pasture with a sickly splat. His eyes narrowed as he stepped closer, boots crunching against the dry dirt. Garbage. Again. Karen had taken her trash bags and hurled them over the fence onto his land, as if that would somehow make her feel like she had the last word. Jacob let out a slow breath through his nose. This woman was unbelievable. Fine. She wanted to escalate. He'd show her what real escalation looked like. Jacob bent down, grabbing a particularly nasty-looking bag filled with what smelled like rotting fruit, and slung it over his shoulder. Then he went to work, gathering every last piece of trash she'd dumped, loading it into his truck and carefully adding asterisk one more special ingredient. A little something he'd picked up earlier that day from his buddy down the road. A fresh, asterisk very asterisk irritable possum. This wasn't some shy little critter like old Louie the skunk. No, this was asterisk Big Bertha asterisk, a mean, beady-eyed possum with a talent for hissing like a demon straight out of the underworld. She'd been causing trouble for local farmers, getting into feed bins and knocking over garbage cans, so when Jacob's friend finally trapped her, Jacob knew exactly what he was going to do. With Bertha settled inside a crate, right on top of the garbage, Jacob started up his truck and headed straight for Karen's place. This time, he wasn't just dumping trash. This time, he was delivering asterisk it. And Karen. She was about to get an asterisk, very asterisk rude surprise. Jacob backed his truck right up to Karen's pristine driveway, the engine rumbling like a storm warning. The sky had turned a dusky purple, and most of the neighborhood had settled in for the night. But Jacob, he had asterisk business to take care of. He climbed out of the truck, tipping his hat back as he took in the sight of Karen's perfectly manicured front yard. So spotless, so deliberately curated. It was about to get asterisk real asterisk messy. With deliberate slowness, Jacob began unloading her trash bags one by one, stacking them neatly against her front door. He took extra care to spread them out, ensuring they wouldn't be so easy to grab and toss away. Then came the grand finale. He climbed into the truck bed, grabbed the crate holding Big Bertha, and carried it to the very top of the trash pile. The possum, already cranky from being relocated, let out a low, asterisk menacing asterisk hiss. Jacob grinned. Now don't go too easy on her, you hear? With a flick of his wrist, he unlatched the crate. Bertha shot asterisk out like a bat out of hell, scrambling over the bags before disappearing into the darkness. Asterisk inside asterisk Karen's front porch. Jacob took a step back, admiring his work. Trash delivered. Possum deployed. Satisfied, he dusted off his hands, climbed back into his truck, and drove off. He didn't have to wait long for the aftermath. Barely an hour later, a asterisk-piercing asterisk scream ripped through the night, followed by a series of asterisk thuds, crashes, asterisk, and what sounded like a flower pot being obliterated. Then the best part. WHAT is that? Get it out, AAHHH. Jacob chuckled, reclining in his porch chair, listening to the chaos from the comfort of his peaceful farm. Karen had wanted to play dirty. But Jacob knew how to win. The sounds of pure asterisk, mayhem poured from Karen's property. Jacob leaned back in his chair, sipping his evening coffee, thoroughly enjoying the performance. Every few seconds, another thump or crash echoed through the neighborhood, followed by Karen's screeches. Get it out, it's hissing ATME. Jacob smirked, that be Bertha. He could picture it perfectly, Karen flailing around, swatting at the air, trying to chase out an angry possum that was not in the mood to be evicted. And unlike the skunk incident, this time, Karen couldn't just run away. Nope, that possum was asterisk inside. Another loud bang shook the house, followed by a asterisk shriek asterisk so unholy Jacob nearly dropped his coffee. Then silence. For a moment, Jacob almost considered checking in, just to make sure she hadn't knocked herself unconscious. But then, Jacob. There it was. The porch light flicked on and the front door slammed asterisk open. Karen came storming out looking like she had asterisk gone to war inside her house. Her hair, normally styled to perfection, was a complete asterisk disaster asterisk. Her robe was covered in dust and what Jacob hoped was just dirt. And worst of all, her face was asterisk locked in an expression of pure, asterisk feral asterisk rage. Jacob set his coffee down and stood, feigning polite curiosity. Even in Karen. Karen pointed a shaking finger at him. You put a POSSSSUMMM in MY house. Jacob raised an eyebrow. No, I returned asterisk your trash. Whatever happened after that? Well, sounds like asterisk nature took over. Karen's eye twitched. Do you have any idea what I just went through? Jacob scratched his chin. Judging by the screamin', I'd say about 5 rounds with an angry possum. Karen let out a asterisk frustrated growl that barely sounded human. I had T.O. chase that thing around my house for an hour. It lunged ATME. It got into MY kitchen. It touched MY designer couch. Jacob fought asterisk so hard to keep a straight face. That's rough, Karen. He shook his head solemnly. Real shame. Karen seethed, shaking so hard she looked like she might actually explode. This isn't over, she shrieked. I'm calling the police. I'm suing you. Just then, a rustling noise came from her bushes. Karen froze. Jacob simply smiled. Sounds like Bertha's not done with you yet. Karen let out a strangled asterisk yelp, and asterisk sprinted asterisk back into her house, slamming the door behind her. Jacob let out a deep, satisfied sigh. Yep, that ought to teach her. For the first time in weeks, Jacob's farm was completely peaceful. No buzzing beehives mysteriously appearing on his porch. No trash dumped onto his land. No screeching about his uncivilized way of life. Just the cool morning breeze, the soft clucking of his hens, and the distant hum of the world waking up. Karen. She had finally learned her lesson. Jacob didn't see her at all the next day. No dramatic foot-stomping up his driveway, no angry finger-wagging, not even a single passive-aggressive glare from across the fence. It was strange, suspicious even. But then, late in the afternoon, something miraculous happened. Karen emerged. She stepped outside, cautiously glancing around like a soldier checking for enemy snipers. She was dressed in normal clothes for once. No ridiculous luxury robes, no high heels completely unsuited for the countryside. More importantly, she was holding something. A garbage bag. Jacob watched, curious, as she carried it all the way to the proper bin at the side of her house and carefully placed it inside. Not on his farm, not lobbed over the fence, inside her own bin. She turned, and for a brief moment, their eyes met across the yard. Jacob tipped his hat. Karen scowled, muttered something under her breath, and stormed back inside. But Jacob wasn't fooled. She had been humbled. With a smirk, he leaned back in his chair, stretching his legs. He wasn't a man who liked to start fights, but if someone insisted on one, he sure as hell knew how to finish it. And Karen, well, she wouldn't be dumping anything on his farm ever again. Nature had taken its course. And Jacob had won.